Okay, this morning we're going to spend a little bit of time cutting out a unique piece of American history. And we're going to cut it out of this little blank of wood here, which is about 6.5 inches by 10.5 inches. Plain old pine, nothing complicated here. And it's going to be a puzzle in the end. And what it's going to be is this Conestoga wagon, known as the covered wagon in the old days. This was your main method of transportation across country if you wanted to discover the new land and travel somewhere. So what I did was I took it and I sort of designed a puzzle out of it, and we're going to use this little pattern here to cut it out this morning. If you'd like a copy of this pattern, you can find it on my Etsy page. There's a link down below, and not a very complicated piece, but a little tricky at certain points. And so we're going to cut this out and see what it looks like in the end. Okay, first of all, as we always do, we take our blank and we take some masking tape, or painter's tape if you want to call it that. This is about a 2.5 inch. It's about 2.5 inch or 1 3/4. Not sure exactly. Width doesn't matter what the width is, as long as you cover the whole piece of wood. All right. Spread that out nicely on there. There we go. Flatten that out. Now we're actually going to do our cutting starting on this side when we do it, because as you'll notice, the tape, when you put it over and laps, it overlaps the one before it. Now this is handy because when you got to peel this stuff off of a piece of puzzle that's been cut, you want to try to pull it so it goes this way and it pulls the next one up with it, and the next one and the next one. If you do it from the other side, you're going to start peeling a piece off and it's going to come off, and that other one will still be there. So then you got to start over again, peel that off, and then you got to do the same thing with the next one. So you always start with it so that the overlaps are going toward the top. Alright, so let's fold this over. Fold it over on this side. And as usual, we'll take the old Staples jumbo glue stick and glue up the back of this thing. Put it on nice and thick. I use an old piece of billing that I had here on a paper, so I figured might as well use that sheet of paper up. Doesn't matter because you're not going to be staying with it anyways. Alright, so I put that down and take this and we put the pattern right down on the top here. Smooth it out nicely. Now we're not going to have to drill any entry holes to cut this on our scroll saw, because what we're going to do is we're going to start up in the corner and we'll go right from there, and we'll be cutting out everything as we go along. So you don't really have to have any entry holes drilled for this. But we do want to make a test when we make our cut here to make sure that the piece drops through smoothly, and make sure your scroll saw is nice and the blade is nice and straight. Okay, so let's go over to the scroll saw. Okay, we're over here at the scroll saw now, and what I want to do is get our blade set for cutting. Now the blade I'm using is a number 5 reverse toothed blade. It prevents a lot of the tear out on the bottom, which is nice, but you're still going to have to do some sanding to smooth it out in the end. There's just no getting away from that. So let's first of all put this down on here. I'm not using a fresh blade, I'm using an old one that's in there. We'll see how far we can get with it. Hopefully it won't break on us. And what we're going to do first is over on the edge here, we're going to try making a cut to see how this thing is. I believe it's straight, but sometimes you can't really tell. So what we'll do is we'll cut a little piece out here, and we'll see how it drops through on the board. Okay, we got a fake puzzle piece here now. Let's see how it goes. Should drop through. It did drop through the bottom very nicely. Let's cut our way out of here. It dropped through very nicely on the bottom. And make sure we're looking at this properly. All right. And hopefully it will drop in the top, and it does. Okay, that means our blade is straight up and down. And we're going to get some nice even pieces which won't lock up when we try to get them apart. This is about 3/4 inch piece of wood, maybe thinned out a little bit, but generally I think we're going to be okay. So since we've got that approval, let's get to work and start cutting. I'm going to speed this up, of course, so we won't have to spend all day on screen here looking at it, and I'll hone in a little bit closer on some of the smaller parts. Here we go. Okay, we got the first piece cut out. Drop it down below, and we'll move it out of the way so we can work on the rest of it. Well, it seems as though I misspoke a little while ago. I did have to cut a couple of, or drill I should say, a couple of little entry holes in the middle of the wheels. I forgot about those. And otherwise we have to cut through the side of the wheels. We don't want to do that. So we're going to cut out the inside of the wheels by taking out this middle section first, and then we'll take the other little pieces out. Okay. We have to feed our blade up through the center there. Drop it down. Okay. Drop it down, tighten it up, and we should be off and running. Okay, we'll pop that center piece out. We don't need that, so we'll toss it away. And now we can cut out these inner pieces. We'll do that before we cut the wheel out. We'll have a little more real estate to hold on to here. Here we go. Okay, we got our first nub cut out of there. Just drop it out through the bottom if I get my fingers in there. A little tight quarters. Especially with the blade in there. But I think we can get it. Maybe it'd be easier to go through the top. We'll see. Let's see. Yeah, oh, there we go. That's easier that way. Okay. We're going to put these aside so that they can be reinserted later on. They're going to be the spokes of the wheel, so to speak. Here we go. Okay, we've got all this cut now, and the wheels are a little bit jagged here, but you can go over them with a sander if you like, the sanding wheel, and smooth them out a little bit. Doesn't really matter that much. It's going to be a puzzle, so anything that is a little bit strange about it might be somewhat more inviting. Okay, let's take this over to the bench. Okay, we got our puzzle all done. Now it's just a matter of taking off all the tape from the front side. It should peel off pretty good. So let's do it. Okay, got all the pieces de-patterned, and looks like it came out pretty good. What I like to do now, and also too, be careful when you're working with these smaller pieces, especially in a wood like pine. Very, very flimsy, so you don't want to press too hard on these things when you're peeling them or when you're sanding them or anything like that. What I want to do now is take this over to my mop sander, and I want to run these over the mop sander to smooth out all the edges, round over the edges a bit, and make it look a lot cleaner. So let's take that over there and do that now. Okay, what we're going to do here is we're going to take all these pieces and just lightly run them over here to round over the edges on all these parts and make them look a lot better. Here we go. Okay, we got them all done now, and we'll take them over to the bench and try assembly. Okay, we got it all smoothed out now. Now the next thing is try to get assembly done. This is always the fun part, because I've done some of my puzzles. I haven't even been able to figure out how they go together, but That's part of fun of doing a puzzle, isn't it? Okay, well, we know the easy piece is something like this. Fits in there. Okay, that worked out beautifully. It's the extent of my knowledge on this. And then we take one of these wheels, which obviously has got to fit in here somehow. That looks like it fits in there nicely. Okay, I think we finally got it. A little tricky, but not impossible. It can be done. Alright, well, I'm not going to coat it with anything. It's going to be just plain wood. The customer, when they get it, might like to paint it somehow, or stain it, or do something to it. But I'm going to leave it just plain, and I seal these up in a plastic wrap and send them out. Sold quite a few of them, actually. They're very popular items. The old Conestoga wagon. Well, that takes us to the end of this project. And if you like it, it'd be nice if you down below you would click that little like button for me. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, of course, as usual, please do, and you'll see what we come up with later on down the road. This, by the way, is a stand-up puzzle, so for the last shot here, I'm going to have it stand up and you can take a look at it. Remember, if you'd like to get a copy of the pattern here, you can just go to my Etsy page and you download right from there, and you might enjoy putting this together. Thank you very much for watching. Well, as you can see, the wagon is finished, and it looks pretty good standing up on its end or on its side. So, finished another little project, Conestoga wagon. Okay, I thought I would add on a little piece at the end here showing how I package up this thing for my customers. What I do first is lay the pattern back down on the flat surface as best as possible. So it looks something like that. Okay, and then take a plastic bag, like this regular plastic bag you have around your kitchen, and before doing that though, I usually like to sign it, and I put it in an obscure place, maybe down here. Sign it and then put the date on it as well. And then take the plastic bag. This is a tricky part now. Try and fit this thing inside. Lay it as flat as possible. Turn it around slightly, laying this down, and raise up a couple of the corners and slide the plastic underneath the piece, in this case the wagon, and then you can slide it right inside the bag. Take your time, work at it slowly. Okay, and slide it right up to the end if I can. Bring that down here so you can see it, like that. Okay, and now take my trusty heat gun, pick this up over at Harbor Freight, turn it up full blast, and melt the plastic down so that it shrinks. Starting up at the closed end first. Running it on high. You can see that plastic is just grabbing itself and sealing this baby up. Flip it over the other side. Try not to get too close to the plastic, otherwise it will tear, like that just did. As long as it's a small tear, it's not a problem. Okay, shut it off. Let it cool down for a while, and you got yourself a nice plastic wrapped item you can send out to your customers, and you can see that it's all put together, and when they get it, and then they have to take it apart and put it back themselves. Okay, thought you might enjoy seeing this little piece here as an addendum to the actual video. Thank you again. Bye-bye.